Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day and welcome to a new video. And today I'd like to talk about some things that I would like to see in the new Fable. Easily the most exciting announcement for me during that really boring Xbox presentation that they did a few weeks ago was the announcement of a new Fable game. It was certainly a surprise.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
I definitely wasn't 100% expecting a new Fable game, since Microsoft seems to bury franchises 6 feet under and never ever utilize them ever again. But much to my surprise, they pulled out the old shovel and dug Fable up.
Am I really gonna defile this grave for money? Of course I am!
And brought it back to us. They handed it over to the people that do the Forza series. And while I have no idea how the Forza developers are going to work on a role-playing game, I'm certainly optimistic and excited to see how this new game will turn out. Of course, I do have a list of things that I personally would really like to see in this new Fable, and I'm really hoping that a lot of what I'm about to talk about today will come true, because if it does, then I think that this game could truly be the greatest Fable game they've ever done. So let's get right into it. The first thing on my wish list is, I really hope that this game isn't a complete reboot to the franchise. Thing is the Fable series is a well-established game and a well-established franchise that has had previous games in the series. We had Fable 1, 2, and 3, and a few side games. But either way, there are 3 games filled with lore and characters and locations that are very well established amongst fans and in the game world. I'm really hoping that they didn't decide to just throw all that shit in the trash and just decide to start off brand new. Now, we do know that a few things from the original Fable will carry over, because we got a few hints in the trailer to show us that there will be a few returning aspects. The sword, for example, that we see in the beginning has the Heroes Guild symbol on it, and I'm relatively certain, I would say about 95% sure, that the city that we see in the background of the teaser is Bowerstone. I'm relatively certain that's the case. So we know that at least 2 things from the original Fable games are making a return: the Heroes Guild and Bowerstone, which is fantastic. Now, whether or not any characters from the previous games are going to make an appearance, we have no idea. Or where this game takes place in the Fable timeline, again, we have no idea. Or even if it will even take place in the same timeline at all. But that's my major hope. I hope that this game does connect onto the original games in some way, shape, or form. I really don't want them to reboot everything and just forget everything that we've already experienced in at least the first Fable game. The next thing that I would definitely like to see with this new Fable game is, I would like to see Fable return back to the traditional medieval fantasy setting that we had in Fable 1. Now, I didn't despise Fable 2 or 3, but definitely, in my opinion, the weakest thing about the Fable series past Fable 1 was its really quick move to an industrial, colonial type setting. I wasn't a big fan of that. I don't necessarily hate guns and flintlock pistols in my fantasy, but I'm a much bigger fan of the traditional sword and sorcery type fantasy. I'm a big Dungeons & Dragons player, and I like to keep my D&D games medieval. And that's where I would like to see the new Fable game. I want to see it go back to where Fable 1 took place, in the very fantasy-esque Middle Ages. That's where I like it. To me, that is what fairy tales remind me the most of. Knights and dragons, fairies and goblins. Those are the types of things that I really think of when I think of the Fable series. So that is something that I would really like to see. I felt like the first game was the strongest with that. I felt like the setting really held well to the theme of Fable, and I really hope that they make a return back to the traditional medieval times type era. Another thing I'd like to see a lot with this new Fable game is, I hope that the Heroes Guild plays a much larger part in this game than it has in the previous games. So obviously the Heroes Guild played a big part in Fable 1, but then in Fable 2 and 3 the Heroes Guild was gone because people revolted against them and destroyed the guild. And so the biggest aspect of Fable 1 was completely destroyed in Fable 2 and 3, and it was gone. So in this game, I would like to see the Heroes Guild return, and I would like to see more emphasis and just more involvement with the Heroes Guild in this game. I would just like to see more side quests and things like that posted in the Heroes Guild. They could do like a wall of quests that you could go up to and pick what you want, and maybe a larger variety of quests, and separate side quests from story missions in the Heroes Guild, so that way you have a little bit more side quests to do and things like that, just more content overall. But obviously I would like the Heroes Guild to be the central hub of everything like it was in the original Fable game. Of course, the Heroes Guild could also play into multiplayer, which is something that I would really like to see come into the new Fable. We did have multiplayer in the other games. There was multiplayer in Fable 2 and 3, but it was alright. It wasn't the best. I would like to see the multiplayer expanded upon in the new Fable game. Maybe be a little better. Allow for players to, you know, not have to be right next to you all the time. Let them wander around your world and do whatever. You know, I don't see what's wrong with that. Let people explore your Fable world, especially if choices and consequences in the game can affect the world around you like it could in other Fable games. It would be neat to walk through other people's worlds and kind of explore and see how their world is different from yours. And of course, it's always fun to just get together with your friends, go on quests, and kill monsters, which is definitely something that I would like to see expanded on in the new Fable game. It would really fit really well if you could go into the Heroes Guild and put up like a post for a hero to join your quest, and that's your way of inviting your friends, which of course in the game is a hero from the guild joining you on this quest. I just think it would be really cool, and I really hope that the multiplayer is fleshed out more and we get something really fun to play with friends. Another thing I'd like to see is lands beyond Albion. As cool as it will be to explore Albion again after not being there for a while, I have seen plenty of it in the previous 3 games, and personally, I would really like to see some more of the lands that are beyond Albion. We know that there are definitely more lands out there. We've been to a few of them in the previous games. In Fable the Lost Chapters, we go to the Northern Wastes. In Fable 3, we go to Aurora. And we've definitely had references in the lore to other lands outside of Albion, such as Summercon, which is to the east, and of course there's the Edgelands. So there's definitely a lot of other places out there than just Albion, and it would be really nice if they could make these areas somewhat accessible, so that way the world feels just a little bit bigger, and we get to see more of the Fable world than just Albion. Finally, the biggest thing that I'd really like to see make a return in the new Fable is Jack of Blades. Jack of Blades is such a weird, mysterious, interesting character. Fable 1 painted him to be this ultimate evil, this big bad that came from another dimension, who also came with 2 other characters, the Queen of Blades and the Knight of Blades, and tried to take over Albion at some point in the past, was defeated by William Black, who was an old hero from back in the day, and then of course returns, only to be defeated by the hero in Fable 1. They really made Jack out to be this humongous threat, and yet he is defeated in Fable 1, and then nothing ever shows up of him ever again. We hear about him in the other Fable games beyond Fable 1, but nothing. There's nothing for him. It's just kind of strange to me that they made him out to be such a big villain, and he was just in the one game. I think Jack is really cool. Not only his design, but just generally. He's a really cool bad guy, and I'd really like to see him come back. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him as sort of the main villain of the Fable series. And again, whether this game be a prequel or a sequel, I would really like to see a little bit more emphasis on his character. Whether he comes back to life, or the story has him already alive. Maybe we'll get to see the Queen of Blades and the Knight of Blades as well. No matter what, he's just a character that I would like to explore more. And it's not just him. There are plenty of other characters in Fable that I would love to see more story about, or just flesh more out about them. Like Scythe, for example. He's another really weird, mysterious character. That's the thing with Fable 1. There was a lot of really interesting characters, and a lot of them were very mysterious. And we never really got anything about them in the later games, besides some random books or something like that that you could find spread out through the game that would give you some extra lore. But really, they were characters that I thought I would see in later entries in the series and see them fleshed out more, or maybe see a prequel involving them, but none of that ever happened. So maybe with this new Fable, we'll actually get to see more about them. I really hope that's the case, because that would be really awesome if they fleshed those characters out a little bit more. So that was pretty much my short list of things that I would really like to see in the new Fable game. Are you excited for the new Fable game? Have you ever played the previous games? Or maybe you've never played Fable before, but you're looking forward to this game anyway because you're going to see it as a jumping point to get into the series. Let me know down in the comments below. If you really enjoyed this video, feel free to like it and share it, and if you really like this video, feel free to subscribe. I put out gaming videos every single week, and I try to talk about a number of different subjects. If you really like what I talk about here, feel free to follow me on Twitter. Yes, I have a Twitter account. I haven't really advertised it very much in my videos, but I probably should. I really post at least a few times a day, and I like to just basically bitch and complain about things that I'm not a fan of in current video games or whatever. So if you think you'd like to give me a follow on Twitter, then feel free, go right on ahead. But either way, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Every like and comment and share, and of course every subscriber I get is super special. My channel is slowly growing, and I'm really happy with how it's performing. And I'm really excited to just keep making more videos and trying to get more entertaining stuff out there for everybody. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you, and bye-bye.